Lex Swain. This is the Goodnight, Keith and Williamson AA gas dragster. It started life in 1965. Kent Fuller built the chassis. Arnold Shavs built the motor. It first went to the UK with a Chrysler in it. But when they went next year, in 1966, to Australia, they put a big block Chev in this car. That was because Courtesy Chevrolet was the sponsor. And Bob Hamilton, the owner of Courtesy Chevrolet, said, "I don't want a Chrysler in that car." Now, Bob Keith said to him, "There's no parts for the big block. It only came out the year before. There were no aftermarket parts at all for a big block Chevy." And he said, "I want a Chevy in that car." He said, "Well, the small blocks won't match it with a Chrysler." So Bob said, "Things can be made, but they cost money." He said, "Go ahead," which is a dangerous thing to do. So they got Prager, Mickey Thompson, all of those product manufacturers, they made the manifold, the parts needed to run this supercharger on this big block. It test ran at the 1966 Winter Nationals. They did not run the whole meeting because they didn't want to run the engine too hard. They tested it, made sure it was okay, and put this baby in the ship with 5 other American cars that went on an international drag fest to Australia in April and May 1966. To make a pass in Australia on that trip. It had a very successful run. When that car came back from Australia, the partners, Gary Goodnight, Morris Williamson and Bob Keith, decided to lighten the vehicle. So they had a new body made of magnesium and they took this body off the car. This body weighed 28 pounds, the new body weighed 7 pounds. So the partners could never get rid of that body. They just loved the look of it. It is a beautiful body on this car. They could never bring themselves to sell it or get rid of it. So this body remained in that state as it was in 1966 for 40 years. It stayed eventually in Bob Keith's house until I interviewed him in 2008 for the 40th anniversary of that drag fest to Australia, and he mentioned to me he had the original body. Well, my ears pricked up when he said that, because I know drag racing history is hard to find. So I said, what are you going to do with that body? So long story short, he sent the body to me. He spoke to Morris, his only remaining partner at that point, and they agreed to send the body to me, and a plan was hatched to rebuild this car. originally it was to be built in Australia. Again, long story short, it ended up being built in the United States, and that was the best deal possible. Because the original chassis could not be found, and obviously the original engine was gone, we got the next best thing to not having the original car, because the original craftsmen who worked on this car redid their work. Kent Fuller manufactured this chassis for us. He built the original in '65 and he rebuilt the chassis for us in 2008. Arnold Shavs, Dos Palmas machine, who built this engine in 1965-66, he rebuilt the engine for us. So while we have the original body in this car, it is wrapped around a new chassis and a new engine, but they were built by those original craftsmen from 1965. That's our claim to fame with this car. It has been reconstructed faithfully as to the way it was appeared in 1966. Everything on this car is to the best of our ability the same as it was in '66. Bob Keith chased all the parts, thanks to eBay and the internet, and his old friends all helped out to source the parts for this vehicle. So it has been faithfully recreated in order to appear here. Now, it was sent to Australia because the idea was, it was my car, I'd funded the car, it was sent to Australia, but I made the decision earlier this year to bring it back to the US, because I thought the whole idea of building this car is it's a living museum piece. It's a part of history, and I want people to enjoy it. Many, many more people will be able to enjoy it here in this country for a couple of years than was possible for us in Australia. So I stuck it on a ship, sent it back here. There's a little bit of more work has been done on this car to prepare it for Bakersfield this weekend, but it's here, and it will make its first appearance as a push-started Cacklefest car now this weekend.